Atlanta police are sending a clear warning after a massive drug bust that they say could have put children at risk. Police call it one of their biggest marijuana seizures in recent years. Investigators say that they tracked a large pop-up drug event at a warehouse on Ted Turner Drive with vendors coming in from multiple states. Police arrested 40 vendors and seized more than 1,200 pounds of marijuana, hundreds of pounds of THC, edibles, and 15 guns. Investigators say that some of those drugs were disguised as popular candy, making them especially dangerous.
Packaging material that looks like Skittles, but they could be ecstasy pills. We have mushrooms that look like gummies, chocolate bars that are made with mushrooms, and THC edibles. These things are the kids can get into.
Police managed to show up before the event got started. This morning, they're working to track down the person who organized the event.